I'm so excited to introduce our first storyteller to you. Dr. Linda Humes is a professor at John Jay College and the executive director at Yafa Cultural Arts. She's going to share a story with us today and then join me for an interview. Let's just give Linda Humes a round of applause.
Thank you, Joss, for that introduction. And the story that I'm going to share with you is a Yoruba story from the Yoruba people of Nigeria, West Africa. The name of the story is Ogun Meets Oshun. Now, Ogun, the deity of metal and ironworks, he was depressed. He was heartbroken. He was forlorn because his wife ran off with his friend Shango. He decided that he was leaving the world of civilization and he was going into the world of the woods, and he was never going to return to the world of civilization again, that he would never set his eyes on a woman again. So he went into the woods and he was happy with his friends Alegua and Oshoshi, and he was content. However, the world of civilization was in a horrible way because when the god of iron and metal left, so did the ironworks and the use of metal. So the entire pantheon of Orishas were disturbed, and civilization was not at war, but they were not at peace because it was so hard to survive. In other words, civilization came to a halt. The Orishas went to Olofi and they asked, what can they do? Now, Olofi said that Ogun had every right to live where he wanted to live and that he was not going to interfere. But if they wanted to try to get Ogun back, it would be fine. So they came together and they decided that Orunmila should go because Orunmila was the deity of wisdom. And he went into the woods and he tried to use all kinds of persuasion, psychology, and ration and everything. Ogun wouldn't budge. And one by one, each of the Orishas went to try to beckon Ogun back, but to no avail. They were really upset now because they did not know what to do. And then Oshun, the youngest of the deities, made her way to the council. She asked permission to go. They looked at her. Well, Oshun was always just interested in love and games. She's so young. If the most wise of the Orishas could not get Ogun to come back, how could this young maiden do so? But they had no choice, so they gave her permission to go. Now, Oshun had a different method. She was not trying to find Ogun. It was her intention to have Ogun find her. She put on a belt around her waist and put a vial of honey into her waist. And then she put on bracelets of gold on her wrists and her ankles. And she had a yellow scarf that she had with her. And then she unwrapped her headdress, and her long black locks cascaded down her back. And then she started into the world of the woods. Oshun baleo, ye baleo, Oshun baleo, alawe yakate baleo. And with her song, she pirouetted and she danced, and she just was having such a wonderful time. She went to the rivers and she placed her feet in the water, making little puddles. And again, she started to sing, Ocean Baleo, Ye Baleo, Ocean Baleo, Alawe Yakate Baleo. Now, Ogun was setting a trap for a wild boar when he heard this melodious voice. He started to follow the voice, and then he saw the beautiful Oshun. He was dumbfounded by her beauty. Oshun baleo, ye baleo, Oshun baleo, alawe yakate baleo. He started to follow her, and then she ran. He followed, she ran. He followed, she ran. Then she turned around and she placed her 2 fingers into her vial of honey and placed them on the lips of Ogun. And again, she started to sing again. Ocean baleo, ye baleo, ocean baleo, alawe lakate baleo. Now this time, she took off her yellow scarf and threw it over Ogun's neck. And then she started to playfully lead him out of the forest. She once and again took her 2 fingers into her vial of honey and placed them once and again on his lips. And he allowed her to just lead him as she sang and she danced. They came to the border of the world of civilization and the world of the woods. She once again placed her 2 fingers into her vial of honey and placed them on his lips. She gave him a look and ran off, leaving Ogun totally messed up. He did not want to leave the woods. He was happy there. Just the thought of him going back to his forge, just the thought of him going back into the world of civilization made him feel so bad. But the mere thought of never seeing the beautiful Oshun again was more than the god of iron and metal could take. And he stepped over into the world of civilization. Now, the other Orishas that were watching, they came over and embraced him. They were so happy to see him, and he was happy to see them too. And that night, they had a big feast, and they had music, and they had dancing, and they had much to eat, and much, much palm wine. And they celebrated the return of Ogun, the deity of metal and iron. And they celebrated Oshun, the goddess of love, gold, and the rivers, because it was she that brought Ogun and ironwork back to civilization. Ocean balo lawe, ye ye balo lawe. Ocean balo lawe, ye ye balo alawe. That was the story of Ogun meets Oshun. And that was a love story.
Let's give it up for Dr. Linda Humes.